All right, here we are. This is Trisha Schmalhofer with BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, Mystics. I am here with the best BAM ever, Janet Carbin. Welcome, Janet.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm very excited.
We're going to have fun.
We are.
We always have fun on this show, but I've been so excited about having you on. Janet was a castaway on the Survivor reality show last season, season 39.
Island of the Idols.
Islands of the Idols. And her season had a couple different events that happened. And we're going to get into that in a little while. Some like new interesting things happened. And season 40 is going on right now.
Yes, it
Winners
is.
at War, which is a really highly watched season.
It's an amazing season that's going on right now because it's never been done before.
Right. And, you know, before I met Janet, and I met her through a mutual friend, Christy, who is actually in the studio off camera, but she was like, hey, you're doing these podcasts and you should meet my friend Janet. She's on Survivor and she's really cool and she's 60 and she's doing well and she started fire. And I was like, I want her on my podcast because something in my gut, Janet, said she's going to go far.
Well, it was listening to your gut is what it is all about for me. It took me a long time, lots of years to finally believe it. It's never, ever failed me.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I would think that a decision's really hard, my gut always told the truth.
Right. And we're going to skip around on our thing,
Okay.
but because we were talking before the broadcast about how I'm teaching others how to get into their intuition and trust it. Mm-hmm. And you said, well, that's how I live and that's how I play the game. Mm-hmm. And that is what I'm speaking about now to audiences. So you played the game with integrity. And I think, and
Thank you.
and I know in that structure of the game, there's always some deception and lying that happens because that's part of the outwit, outplay, outlast theme.
That's very true.
Right? But to me, you played with your heart, and now I'm seeing, as we're talking, it's with your gut. Mm-hmm. So you really felt like you...
Right before, I was thinking about, prior to going on the show, how I was going to play. I had this whole scenario where I was going to go in with these false narratives about myself. Because the older woman always gets voted off first or second.
Always.
And that was one of my goals, was to break that glass ceiling. And I was like, how am I going to do this? So I said, I'm going to be 48 years old. I had this whole storyline. I had to change the ages of all my kids. And then the night before, I was like, you know what? I could maybe do that for about 3 days.
Yep.
And then I said, yeah, I just got to go be me. I just got to go be me. And I work with 150 lifeguards. And I don't have any problem mixing with them. Mm-hmm. And I just said, life has taught me, just be me. People respond when people are real.
Authentic, real. And the lifeguards you are in charge of is up in New Jersey?
That's correct, in Spring Lake, New Jersey.
Yeah, shout out to Spring
Yay!
Lake. And then you live down here in Florida.
In Palm Bay.
Yep.
I live down here. I come down as soon as my beaches and pools close, and I'm getting ready to go back soon. But during the winter, it's not like it's downtime. I do a lot of the administrative, the budgeting, the hiring, all the paperwork side of things.
Right.
And I know all the lifeguards here in Brevard. I'm going swimming with them tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Right. Yeah. She swims in the ocean all the time. She's a very active lady. And you were just saying you participated in a rescue. Was that yesterday?
2 days ago.
2 days ago
Yeah.
on the beach here in Florida. So, yeah.
You're always on duty.
Always.
Always on duty. And I'm glad it turned out well with the rescue.
Yeah. And so you're a snowbird is what we call them.
Yeah, but I don't know that I'm really a snowbird because I go back to work. Otherwise, I wouldn't be going back.
Oh, yeah, because you're not retired.
Right. Right.
Snowbirds tend to be
retirees.
retirees.
They're retired on both ends.
Okay, so not quite a snowbird. A snowbird in training, maybe.
Yeah.
So So the age range of lifeguards that you work with in New Jersey, is it a wide range?
Huge range.
Yeah.
They start at 15 in the pools you're allowed to start at, and 16 on the beach. And then I have lifeguards up through their mid-60s. I love my guys. We are a family, guys and girls. When I say guys, I'm referring to both.
It's the group, yeah.
It's a family. It's my beach family, and I'm extremely tied to them as if they were my blood family.
Yes.
I speak with my lieutenants probably 2 and 3 times. At this time, it's almost daily, all winter long, all year long. I actually am flying back Tuesday to Wednesday to do some stuff, and with them. And
good.
They don't leave. They get real jobs after they get out of college, and they stay part-time.
Right.
It's a passion.
It's a family, and you're like the head mama bear, so you create that energy. You create that energy of that close-knitness. And Jesse, I'm just seeing I don't have a timer, so could we help me out there? Because we'll just go on for the whole hour.
That's true.
So during the actual Survivor season in the game, you mentioned your lifeguard family, your beach family, you called them, and you talked about your regular family, because there was a time around the merge when things were coming to light about one of the castaways, and some of the women were coming to you to complain, and you used your gut and your heart. And something you said is, I know, I actually rewatched a lot of episodes, but because Janet's season every season has layers.
Yes.
I didn't watch any Survivor till I met you. I had to see like one season, and now I've like seen a ton of them. So it was something like you have a personal moral need for the girls to feel okay. So you changed your vote to vote for this castaway.
Yes.
And to get him out of there, because you were having this perception that he was making these women uncomfortable.
Right. Well, what happened is the girls came to me, and they were very uncomfortable, and I went and sat under the stars and talked to my girls. And sorry, I get a little emotional about it.
Who are your girls?
My daughters and I have 3 granddaughters, and I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And I talked to them, and I said, how could I face them and all of my beach girls and guys who they respect the girls? How can I go back and not make girls feel safe? Now, and the thing that most people don't know is I spoke to Dan about this before I did it. He was my ally. And I knew that it was going to cost me my game.
Yeah, he was one of your big allies.
Yes.
Dan is the castaway.
Yep.
That for those of you that didn't watch the season, he's the castaway we're talking about. Yeah, it was going to muck up your game.
I knew it was going to destroy my game, but it meant their safety meant more to me than $1 million.
Right.
And being able to face my daughters and my granddaughters and my beach family was more important than I have to hold my head high. And it was a decision that I personally made for me.
And that's when I say you played with integrity, that's what I'm talking about. That's my definition of integrity, is following your heart and your gut, despite that it could have cost you $1 million, which is why you're there to play. You're there to win $1 million, not to make friends and all that. But you're the kind of person that you're just gonna make this your tribe while you're there for that duration of time.
The one thing I want to say though is Dan is still my friend. Whether I believed, and I need people to know, whether I believed what was happening to the girls was real or not didn't matter.
Right.
It was their reality.
Right.
And Dan is my friend currently today. And we actually realigned again in the show.
Okay.
Later on.
Yeah. Well, and then what ended up coming out, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because this was one of the big thing that overshadowed the whole season, and a lot of really good things happened.
Right.
Was that it turned out that some of these girls, whether it was true or not, it was happening, they kind of played it to as a strategy. And the scene on the beach after Jamal got voted out, was it after Jack or Jamal? Not Jack. Kelly? After Kelly.
Yes. That was devastating.
After Kelly, and then it like hit you that you felt hated, you felt outcast, you actually slept out on the beach.
Yes.
And that's when I remember you saying that you were thinking about quitting the game because this, it was a really hard thing. And but that's when you talked about you're going to keep going.
I couldn't quit.
Yes, you couldn't quit. And the tribal with Jamal, which was the second tribal of the merge episode.
Yes.
You said some things there that that actually might not have been the merge. I might be getting it wrong, but I remember it was the Jamal because he got voted out. But you had said they were talking about a woman's alliance and all that, and you were saying, hey, that's actually kind of sexist that you're thinking just because we're women we're gonna
Bond.
Yeah. So some things that were coming up, and this was during tribal council, which never happens. Well, I don't know. Tribal can last 7 hours, and then we only see, 10 minutes of it?
Our tribals were 3 and 4 hours.
3 and 4 hours at a tribal council, So we see 5-10 minutes near the end of the show. 11 minutes
at most.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the whole other thing about the editing and all that stuff, which they do a great job.
They really do.
It's a lot of footage.
They really do.
24/7 you're getting filmed, so they do have to pick out what's essential.
I agree.
Yeah. So some things that you said there that I just was like, this is why I love Janet and why she was a fan favorite and won $100,000. You said there are some wonderful things that happened with women. Trust me, that reflects on the men that are supportive of women, because it reflects on the men that are supportive of the women. That we can't just say, it's women empowerment, women rising, feminine rising, men, you did a lot of bad stuff. Men and women need to support
each other,
man or woman. And then you said, because in your experience, and this is your quote, you can't be a powerful woman without men and women backing you.
I strongly believe that.
Yes. And you also said, you need to earn your respect, your dignity, your position, who you are as a human being to each other. And then you said, I've lived it. I'm like, go, Janet. So do you want to say anything about that?
I am currently a female chief lifeguard, and there are not many around. I know of one other in Fort Lauderdale, and she actually came from our area and swam against my daughter, so I'm kind of proud of her.
Ooh.
It's a man's world, and I don't ever, and I was the first woman lifeguard on the beach in my area back in the 70s, and I have always believed, I never want to get something because of my sex, or anything. I want to earn it. I want to, a very simple description of this, when I would teach phys ed and we would be playing football, the girls would go out and stand out there on the field and they'd just tap their foot and be like, they're not throwing the ball to me. Why am I playing? And I look at them and I say, I wouldn't throw you the ball either. And they're shocked. And I'm like, you got to run around. You got to earn it. You got to get free. Why do you think that you deserve to have that? And it's the same concept. You have to, I strongly believe that. And I never would have been successful in the job that I'm currently in if it wasn't for the men that I work with. And more importantly, my husband has been my best supporter. It's always nice to go home and know you have a place to land.
Thanks, John, for being that. Yeah, totally. And like you said, you need people to support you to be who you are, men and women. And
I have women that work on the beach for me, and they are badass awesome.
Yes.
And the boys support them. The boys don't say, oh, you can't do that because you're a woman. No, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it well, and I'm going to help you do it.
Yeah.
And that's the type of people. They're my family.
Yes, they are. they're your family.
So
Yeah. And so let me look at it. We should probably go to break. And when we come back, we're going to get into, I had the privilege of watching some episodes with Janet at a local brewery. I always stumble on that word, and restaurant. And so watching the season with one of the castaways, I got a lot of insights into what was really happening. So we're going to get into that when we come back. But first, we're going to highlight Tasha Chen. She's one of our sponsors for the show, and we had her on a few episodes ago. She is such a badass alchemist mystic. She will teach you how to have a better relationship with money, because money is not evil. Money is a resource to give to charities, to get the things you want, to create the life you want. She's doing a moneyattractionchallenge.com. If you want to go on to there, it's a 5-day money attraction challenge where you can sign in, and she will give you support and tools on how to change your relationship with money and work with blocks that might be restricting abundance from coming into you. So moneyattraction.com, that's Tasha Chen. We'll be right back after this.
Hey there, this is Jesse Hall, and I want to remind you to tune into Business Elite Brevard Edition. And what we do on Business Elite Brevard Edition is bring to you some of the biggest movers and shakers on the Space Coast. These could be industry leaders, tech innovators, and social influencers. And what we do is kind of bring them on, ask them some of the most relevant questions that you may not know about. And these are people who may not be in the news, but they are making moves behind the scenes. Again, tune in. Business Elite Brevard Edition.
You're listening to Space Coast Podcast, home of the greatest podcasts on the Space Coast. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or having your own show, email us at spacecoastpodcast@hotmail.com. Space Coast Podcast. Talk hard!
Join us for the fresh, new For Your Best Self podcast with Drs. Anita Saluja and Rebecca Novo of Dermatology plus Plastic Surgery. We will reveal the facts about techniques, trends, products, and procedures to be your best self. The first and only podcast combining the synergy of aesthetic dermatology plus plastic surgery. Search For Your Best Self on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify.
We're back. Janet Carbin is here in the studio. Bam, badasses, alchemists, and mystics. I'm having such a good time.
me too.
Because I'm like a Survivor fan now. Because of Janet's season and Janet herself, I am now a Survivor fan. So, well, first, we'll just get this over with because why did you apply to begin with?
It was just one of those things from day one. Like, it would almost be painful to watch the show, wishing I could be on it for 20 years.
So you've been watching since the beginning?
Very beginning.
Oh, so you're a super fan.
Super fan.
Yay.
And I just, when the reality of it was starting to come to be, it was just surreal. It was surreal.
Yes. And so you have to do a little video. I almost asked you, bring in your video clip. It'd be kind of cool to see it.
Here's the funny thing about the video clip.
What?
It was a rain day at the beach. We were all bored. A bunch of lifeguards were hanging out in the shed because it was raining. And I said, let's make a video. We had the best time. There must have been like 20 of them. I had one of them standing in the water with his phone filming it. We laughed and laughed on the video that I submitted, never thinking it was going to do anything.
Right. But that probably somehow intrigued them.
They saw what they liked about it is that I related with all kinds of people.
Uh-huh.
I just didn't think about it.
And when I was asking you about the age range of the lifeguards, I meant to segue back in because there's an age range on that island. I mean, in the tribes, you have like really young in their 20s, and then you and Dan, and there was another gentleman that was a little older.
Tom.
Yeah, Tom, that got. So it's like you have to be able to.
And the irony to that, which you did not see in the show, was Jack, who was the youngest, and I were probably we were and are extremely close.
I remember you saying that when we were all watching it.
He gave me his jacket when he got voted out.
Yes.
They didn't show that, but they showed me wearing it later. I mean, and if anybody came near the jacket, they were like, "Oh no."
It's like a sacred relic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else were you super close with?
I was close with Jamal.
Yes.
Dan. I was close with Dan, and that went up and down.
Sure.
Kelly, I was close with her. Lauren. But if I had to pick the people that, I was the closest with, it would have been Jack, Jamal, and probably Dan.
Yeah.
And Tommy. Tommy and I had the Mommy and Tommy alliance, but we had a different relationship.
Right. Well, Tommy was really working the social
Yes,
game.
he was.
So he had relationships with everyone.
Right.
And that's what Sandra and Boston Rob said. We're going to talk about Island of the Idols, but they were like, we never met this guy Tommy, but everyone that's come to the island said, well, I'm in with Tommy and I'm in with Tommy. And they're like, who the heck is this Tommy? So, you said you and Tommy actually bonded on the boat.
Yes.
Like going there.
Yes. We made an alliance from the get-go.
Right.
And my fall down was I didn't turn on him sooner, or we had all made an agreement if we wanted to take people that we respected to the end.
Yes.
And I trusted too long. Them seeing me, Elaine and Dean seeing me with the idol had no bearing. They made that look. They were going for me at that point. That had no bearing on what was happening.
And I remember I asked the question after that when you found that idol. It was the second idol you found, because you found the first one after the night from hell, right? When you were going to quit, you found an idol.
Yeah.
But the second idol, you found it and showed it to Tommy.
Yes.
And I like put my hand up at break. I'm like, why did you show Tommy? So what was your response to that?
Well, I was hungry and tired and everything, and I was so excited I found an idol. I still felt like I could trust him.
Right.
And as soon as I did it, I was like, I didn't listen to my
gut response.
And there was a moment where I was like, just put it in your sweatshirt. Yeah. And I didn't.
And I don't know if he walked up on you, or did you go and find him to show him?
We were together.
So it was kind of like, it's that when you're really excited about something, you're showing your BFF, hey, look what I got.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. And, I'm sure the shout around the world at that point is, no, Janet, don't show him. But when you put it in that context, you're hungry, you're freezing, you're tired.
Yep.
Your BFF, who you thought was one of your closest allies, was there with you. Yep. What is your natural response but to say, look what I found. Hey, this is good for us. This is
and that's exactly what I thought.
And even later when you're in the top 5 and you got to Island of the Idols and you got to stay there, right? It was like the glorious resort.
They didn't show, they showed Dean and Tommy looking for idols, but Tommy and I had been looking for an idol as a pair for a long time before that.
See, they don't show that, because I was thinking, I wonder why Janet didn't look for one.
No, we were.
I was thinking if you had 2 idols,
I would have been okay.
Because the nullifier would only work with one. Right. I was thinking that in the shower this morning.
And if I had the second idol, I could have played it.
Yes, because the nullifier is only for the one idol. So, all right, where do I want to go with this? Oh, because I remember on Island of the Idols, you were sitting there with Tommy, and you're like, hey, we're good here. We're getting there.
For the first time, I believed I had a shot at winning, and allowed myself to believe it. And here's the thing. Can I talk about the nullifier? Is that okay at this point?
Let's lead into that. Well, let's explain for those how this nullifier came in. How about we'll loop around back to that. So in Island of the Idols was something new for this season.
Yes.
They've never done anything like this before. And you as castaways didn't know what was happening at Island of the Idols. Did they tell you not to tell anybody? Did they give you that?
They didn't say it specifically, but Sandra and Rob made us feel like we weren't supposed to say anything.
Right. Did people uphold that in general?
For the most part, yes.
Okay.
When I went there, I had no idea what to expect.
Okay. And you did get to go and meet Sandra and Boston Rob, because what it ended up being was, here's two seasoned players that won that were like giving you lessons. And you could opt to win either an idol or an advantage, or in Jamal's case, it was like a fake advantage.
Yes.
That kind of came into, it was kind of in the
totally
play, right?
came into play.
And Janet went, but her option was kind of like, just like, hey, it's like kind of like throwing a coin, and she could have lost a vote and done all this others. And even the thing you were winning wasn't that
it wasn't
great.
worth it.
You were
you
could leave tribal council or something.
Which would have been like pointed bullseye on my back.
Yeah, and that's what you said. And Rob like smiled, and I wish Rob would have been like, hey, that was the right decision. Here's an idol.
He said it later.
Did he?
Yeah, but then I'm
They
the only one that didn't give me anything.
They should have gave you
I didn't even get food.
See, I know other people got like full course meals.
I know.
So anywho, when Dean went, he had a similar thing and went for it and picked the idol nullifier.
That's the most
Flip of a
powerful
coin.
thing, on a flip of a coin. And the only other time the nullifier was played was one other time in Survivor history, and there were 11 or 12 people in the game. Not 5, not 6. That's like, it's a no-win situation at that point.
Right. And I think you said that. I don't know if you said it on the show or at your Ponderosa, which is kind of, if you look at YouTube, you can see when the contestants are voted off,
Right.
they go to Ponderosa, and you can kind of see it's kind of an extra little
Yeah.
thing. But you said it almost wasn't right that they played, that it was able to be played at that point in the game with 5 people left.
Right.
That's too close to the end.
Right.
So the nullifier, we wanted to loop back around.
Yes.
So how did that?
Jamal had written a fake advantage when he went, so it was a fake advantage. We didn't know it was fake.
Right.
We all believed it was real, and it had to be used at 9 or 6.
Right.
Dean didn't use it at 9. We knew he was going to use it at 6.
Because Jamal gave it to Dean.
Yes.
To try to mess up
Yes.
his game because it was fake.
Right, but we didn't know it was fake.
Right.
So all of us, the remaining, we were sitting there. They had intended to backdoor me because I was the favorite. Nobody wanted to sit next to me at the end. So they were going to backdoor me, telling me we were going to get Nora out with it.
Right.
So we were going to put all the votes on Dean. So if it had gone, and then Dan got removed at 6.
Right.
If that had not happened, we would have gone to tribal. All the votes would have been on Dean. All on Dean, because even Dean said, put all the votes on me.
Because I have this advantage.
Because I have the advantage, and they were going to write my name down. Like, just, you only needed 1 or 2 people to write my name down, thinking they were going to get me out. Dean would have left with the nullifier in his pocket had Dan not been removed at 6.
Right. And that's if everything would have lined up.
Yeah.
Because, on Survivor,
It is the way it is.
There's always
Yeah.
plans going into
Yeah.
tribal,
Yeah.
and then, people change their mind. But if it would have all went, and the other thing that happened, and we already brought up the Dan thing, but this was the first season ever that the producers actually removed someone from the
Yes.
game, because people have been removed for medical reasons or mental health reasons, but they actually said, we're taking you out. And that happened with 6 left.
And that killed my advantage plan, because
It killed it.
that we all said it. We said, well, we guess the advantage wasn't real.
Right.
Had Dan been removed either right before that or right after that, I had the idol,
plan.
which would have brought me to the final 4. At worst, I would have been making fire against somebody.
Right. And you are known as the fire lady because you made fire from bamboo like the first day.
Well, I planned that. It was the first day. I worked really hard. My husband set up a whole backyard.
Yes.
With balance beams and fire pits and giant slingshots, and
I love that.
Slide
John,
puzzles,
you're
yes.
the man.
He was my coach.
Yeah.
And
you could prepare like full on for
full on.
Yeah.
And so we went and for weeks found the right type of bamboo to use, how to do it, what works, what doesn't work. And when I was there, I wanted to do something before the first tribal, because that's usually the target for the old lady. So I wanted to do something. Then I found the bamboo that worked. And I was like, okay, take a risk. And it worked. And then I also stepped up in the hero position with the grappling hook in the first challenge.
Yes, you did. So you made it like, hey, I'm not just
An
the
old
regular
person.
old lady.
Yep.
I can bring value. Yes. And so I think that was a really good move, because that kept you
in the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Plus you were likable, but sometimes that can work against you. We're going to have to go to another break. And before we do, I'm going to just talk about some of my new endeavors on Twitch. It's another platform that's about streaming, live streaming. And currently Twitch is a lot of gaming, but there's other genres on there. So I already started my Badasses Alchemists Mystics channel, and I'm going to be doing some live classes, tarot card readings. I'll probably bring some... I'll probably doing some healing on there. I'll probably be bringing some guests, because I want to, you can do it from your phone. So I'm going to kind of travel and do it. Like, I'll be on the beach with Janet, be like, here we are doing our live stream, a couple of badasses. So, and I'm going to be setting up a Med Healers channel as well, where we talk about health and healing and energy work and all of that cool stuff. So twitch.tv is the website. Check out Badasses Alchemists Mystics on there right now. Thanks.
Hey, it's Vinny with the Vinny Marino Podcast Show. I want you to join me Wednesday evenings as we tackle all the crazy headlines and uncover what's missing. Also, we will have exciting guests from our community who have seen it all and not afraid to spill the beans about it. And finally, we can't forget about Vinny's top rants and raves about traffic, restaurants, and events. Join us on Facebook as we go live and take you behind the scenes of each show and let you be a part of it. It's the Vinny Marino Podcast Show, raw, unedited talk all the time, straight to your dome. Live from the Space Coast Podcast Studios. Listen everywhere you find podcasts.
Are you in the market for a new home? Perhaps you need to sell your old home and downsize or relocate. Hey there, my name is Jesse Hall with eXp Realty, and I offer professional real estate services right here on the Space Coast. Give me a call, 321-877-8737 for all of your real estate needs. Again, 321-877-8737 for all of your real estate needs. Buy, sell, invest with the best. Find out more at 321-buysellinvest.com.
We're back. This is Trisha Schmalhofer. Bam, Badasses, Alchemists, Mystics. I'm here with Janet Carbin from Survivor, season 39.
How you doing? Good to be here.
So excited. So we were talking about some of the ins and outs of her season and the end, and how she got robbed of the $1 million when she was already in the top 5 by a stupid idol nullifier that shouldn't have been played by Dean. Anyway, Dean was not my favorite player, but I think in the end he actually did pull out some.
He did much better at the end.
Yeah. That may have been his strategy, but whatever. So some of the other things I want to talk about is watching with you, like when the camera was off, like they only can show what, 40 minutes, 45, 50 minutes.
Not even. I think it's 44 minutes.
It's 44 minutes for a show, and they film you
24/7.
And some people were asking online, because we're having a toilet paper epidemic right now because the coronavirus is scaring everybody, and so there's no toilet paper. And I'm like, zombie apocalypse, toilet paper will be a currency, right? So it's good to know.
Yeah.
And one person left a comment, Leah Williamson, actually. She's beachside qigong and tai chi. I had her on the show too, but she's like, ask Janet if the toilet paper issue was as bad there as it is here now.
Well, we did not have any toilet paper.
Yep.
We voted as a tribe whether we would go in the ocean or go on land. Oh, wow. And we as a tribe decided we would go in the ocean.
Wow.
It's cleaner. It's just because on land you have to dig a hole and bury it and stuff like that. So we decided we called it aquadunk.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I'd want to swim in that water or eat that fish.
Yeah, it was fine, trust me.
Yeah. And you did catch a fish.
Yes, I did, and I was very proud of that.
Yes, they didn't show it on the regular episode, but if you go to the CBS app, they have little highlights, and there is a highlight of you catching
Defining
a fish.
moment for me.
Yes. Why was that a defining moment?
Another one of my goals. One was to prove my validity to the tribe and make fire. Another one was to spear a fish, because no other woman, I think, up until that point had speared a fish.
Right. Survivor 40, they
showed it. Now I know why they probably didn't show my fish.
Oh, because they already knew that was, because that
they
was
filmed
already
right
happening.
after it. Yeah.
That's kind of messed
that's all
up.
right.
Yeah, but you know.
I know.
And like Survivor super fans that watch all the little clips, they see it.
It was a defining moment.
Yes. So she did catch a fish and provide for her tribe. Because that can't be easy.
No.
Spearing a fish.
No, I caught 3 of them that day. And
three?
Yeah.
Not even just one.
Yeah.
Woo, you're a badass. So, all right. And then some of the other things, like by the merge, you hadn't eaten anything but rice. You didn't win any reward challenge with the Lyra tribe, right?
We did not.
Yeah.
I out of everybody on the show, I got the fewest rewards.
So you, by mid-game pretty much, you only had white rice.
Well,
and a little fish?
We found breadfruit, and they had been waiting. I had researched, a couple other people had researched. They were waiting for 4 years for somebody to discover breadfruit. Now, season 40, they're showing them eating it, but nobody did until our tribe.
Yeah, that's actually a highlight of season 40 is them finding breadfruit.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
we found it first.
See? Man. Right.
And we cooked that at night.
Okay. Oh, you can't just eat it raw?
No,
you have to cook it.
It has to be cooked. And different. We actually became really talented. Dan and Jamal cooked the rice. Dan cooked the breadfruit. For the most time, we used seawater and coconut water to flavor it.
Right. Who knew to cook breadfruit?
I did.
Look at you, badass. So you not only fed your tribe by finding fish, but you knew that piece of information.
The locals would throw it in the fire, just the way it was. And that was the first way we cooked it. And then it became more developed after that.
See, that I didn't know this. Yeah. So, we talked about, like, because in Fiji is where this one took place. And I think I heard somewhere they're going to take place there for a while. They have, like, a contract with Fiji now. But it rains a lot, and even though you think of Fiji as a nice tropical island, and it was hot as heck in the day because you could see sweat pouring off of you, but nighttime, especially after rain, it was freezing.
There's a rainy season, and our season was filmed during the rainy season, and there were 2 nights that were particularly brutal, 26 and 34 days, day 26. You did anything you could possibly do to keep your clothes dry. Mm-hmm. I mean, we stripped down to our underwear twice and went to tribal council in our underwear to keep our clothes dry so we had something dry at night. Mm-hmm. You had to sleep wrapped up together. It was brutal. It was, because if you think about it, go sleep outside on the ground with just the clothes that you have on here in Florida, like a T-shirt, maybe a pair of sweatpants, and sleep all night like that.
Well, because I know I've slept outside in a tent, and the tent has dew and moisture all over it, not to mention if it actually rains.
Right.
And yeah, I think one of the episodes I watched with you, you said this, I don't remember which one, but you're like, this was the coldest night, and we all were in like a huddle, freezing, and you have to like get each other warm.
We actually, Elaine went in the water and stayed in the ocean because that was warmer. Nora had like a freezing moment where she just came in and we just all wrapped her up because she was just, you can mentally break.
Yeah. Well, and so this game, not to mention the food and the cold and the bathroom, and you were saying you couldn't sleep because there are all these young people staying up all night, and you wanted to listen to what was being planned, and so and plus you're sleeping on the beach, which you and Dan built little huts, right?
And then we built two more huts were built. That was something new also.
And they didn't show that either.
Yeah.
You had your bamboo hut, but you built little shacks on the beach.
Sleeping on bamboo I couldn't do it. It just hurt. And so I got my little Tom Sawyer on and looked at this tree with all this stuff. Awesome. And Dan and I were looking, and I'm like, if we take some bamboo and some ferns. So we built this, 2.5 people could fit in it. It wound up being the driest shelter on the entire beach.
Isn't that amazing?
And so 2 more were built on the beach, built into the trees, and they were beach shelters 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it's like I just wish they'd showed
that
stuff.
That was so cool.
That's like badass and awesome. So, all right, so we talked, now I lost track of what I wanted to come back to. We were talking about hunger and cold and sleeping on bamboo, and I don't remember.
It was rough. Rough.
I don't remember
cold.
now, darn it. Is there anything else that I'm thinking that you were sharing? So
I know what you're talking about. The psychological game
is
just
the
so
mental
much.
Game.
That's so much harder than the physical.
Yeah.
And when you get off the island, like the PTSD is real.
So let's paint the picture, okay? How many days are you out there?
I made 37 days.
37 days of barely any food, and maybe if you win challenges, sporadic binge eating, right?
Which you couldn't eat that much.
Right. And then you, because your stomach shrunk by then. Yeah. How many pounds did you lose?
Over 20.
Over 20 pounds. And you're barely sleeping.
Right.
You're freezing.
And you're trying to stay mentally sharp.
Because it is a game of outwitting as well as outlast and outplay.
It was hard.
So the physical challenge, like when I look at the game and I think what people mostly say, I'm not going to do Survivor because I couldn't handle like the physical stuff, the challenges or just the lack of sleep and stuff. But the mental aspect.
My first night off of the island, I stood on a porch of the cottage at Ponderosa for a half hour talking myself into going in because it was air conditioned and quiet. And I was by myself. It was so difficult. And I was like, you can do this. You can do this. You can go in there and sleep in a bed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard. I almost slept outside.
That is so interesting. What was going through that, though? You just didn't want to be
panic.
Alone? Okay.
You were so used to being with somebody. And the quiet was overwhelmingly loud, how quiet it was. Because we're used to the jungle sounds.
Right. Right. And I'm sure you get used to those jungle sounds. You know what's making what sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the mental game.
That's brutal.
Well, and we talked a little bit about the spiritual game, right? Because that is a factor.
Yes.
It's like some people go in there to deceive and that's their strategy.
That is
to
their
lie
strategy.
And backstab and deceive. So by choosing not to do that to the best of your ability. I feel that's a spiritual game.
It is.
You know?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I did do some of that, which wasn't shown on camera, but not to the level of what most other people did. And I feel great that people look at me as this honorable player, but I can lie if I need to. I just didn't see the need at certain points.
Right. And, it's true with gameplay in general. it's like, I know when I even just play board games, like
Right.
I become almost a different person.
Right.
Like I
Right.
get really competitive
Right.
and I'm like, because I'm not like that in
Right.
real life. So I get it that when you're entering the game, and even sometimes during tribal councils, I think Jeff Probst said this, they're like, okay, like we're stepping out of the game right
Right.
now to talk about these issues.
Yeah, which never has happened.
Right. And now we're re-entering
Yeah.
the game because we got to vote someone off.
Right.
And that's just that's the game.
And he was right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was interesting. Let me see where we're at. We still got a minute. And we talked about Island of the Idols. Is there anything else? You know, it's interesting. Do you think that was a successful
No.
addition?
I think that prior to assembling our cast, they wanted to bring a lot of focus, and bringing Sandra and Rob would do that because they're so well known. But once they got our cast together, even the producer says they've never had such highly competitive players, new players assembled. I think they didn't realize they got such a great cast.
Right.
And they had already set up for Island of the Idols.
Right. Yeah, the big statues
Right.
of each of them. And
Right.
that leads into, and the winner, Tommy, never even went there.
Right.
Which is like the
Right.
big joke, right?
Right.
So this season now, season 40, Rob and Sandra are on there. And actually, it's been brought up several times on that we
Right.
see that you have a statue built of
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Right here on this
Yeah.
island. You know, it took a barge. I
Right.
think they removed it with a barge.
Yeah.
But no one's really saying that to Sandra though, which I think is kind of weird.
It's interesting, yeah.
She's
isn't it?
staying under the radar.
She's trying, and she's playing a good game. She's playing a good game.
She is. And how she can sit out of every freaking challenge, I don't know how that's happening.
Here's a little inside information on that.
Yes.
Before you even go to a challenge,
Yeah.
you sit down as a tribe. They knew 2 people had to sit out because they had 2 more people than the other tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that. So you decide as a tribe, okay, if it's a water challenge, this person and this person sits out. If it's a strength challenge, this person and this person's going to sit out. If it's a balance, so you kind of have this game plan of who's going to sit out. So they already knew before they got to the challenge, as soon as they saw what it was, who was going to sit out.
Okay. So there's kind of, even though I don't know if they did this your season, but you get the tree mail kind of explaining
Yes,
what the challenge is going
we
to be.
got it.
But so you kind of get an idea.
Get a sense.
But I thought there was a rule that a person can't sit out in a
Back-to-back
row.
challenges.
Are they just not doing that this season?
You can't sit out. The reward challenges. There were reward challenges that you didn't see, and they came in between. I think they were counting the reward challenge and the regular challenge. They would have been back to back. So she probably played in the reward challenges that we did not see.
Oh, see, now I would never know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
See, all this like inside information.
And I think it's smart for her to sit. I mean, Lauren sat out most of our challenges.
She did. And then she ended up winning one, which was like a
I
big
know.
thing for her.
I know.
Big,
It was awesome.
like,
It was
experience
awesome.
for her. So with season 40, do you have a favorite or?
I love Natalie.
She's kicking ass
she
with
is
those fire
awesome.
tokens
She is
on Edge of
awesome.
Extinction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she's a strong woman and she's not looking for help. She's, doing it, earning her respect.
Yes, she is. And she was the first voted off, so that had to be. Well, she even shared it was a big
Right.
kick in the stomach. So
Right.
she's earning her way back.
She's earning it. She's not giving up.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. There's so many that I do like.
know.
It's hard.
I love Yule.
I love Yule too. I love Jeremy.
Yeah.
I love Michelle. I think that there's so many. I think that new group. See, if I was on this channel, if I was on this is the way I would be playing it. I would use my age. And I would tell the old school people I'm with them and not really be. And I'd be
Right.
with the new school people
Right.
because then I'd tell them, hey, I'm still new school even though I'm old.
Right, right. And it is starting to shift now where you're seeing the old schoolers, slowly getting dipped.
Yeah.
And they just did that tribe swap, that last one, which really messed up Rob's game.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
So we got to go to another break,
Okay.
but we'll come back in a minute. And oh yeah, what we're going to talk about when we come back. We might talk a little bit more about season 40, but then we're going to talk about the charities that Janet is really involved
I
in.
really love these charities.
Yeah, but just you want to say a little blurb about each one quick before we go to break? Well, let's
Sure.
do that when we come back. We'll
All
put
right.
the screen back up and say blurbs about everything.
Okay.
But we're going to talk all about For the Girls, Give Kids the World, and Hearts of Reality. That benefits Give Kids the World. And she's also, what was the other one? Michelle's Place. We didn't
Yep.
have the logo for that. That's michellesplace.com in California. But she's also doing speaking engagements,
Yep.
talking about what we're talking about here with you said
Listening to your truth.
listening to your truth. So we will be right back after this.
Hey guys, I'm Steve Vitani, Brevard resident and realtor with RE/MAX Elite. I'm excited to announce my new very own podcast show, Steve Talks 321. We are on Facebook Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, talking about the most current real estate trends, hot topics, as well as anything along the Space Coast in Brevard County. I'm excited to share all of the latest happenings throughout Brevard County and also to hear from you. Please like this page, Steve Talks 321, and share this page and podcast with your friends. Thanks a lot. I hope to hear from you guys soon.
You're listening to Space Coast Podcast, home of the greatest podcasts on the Space Coast. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or having your own show, email us at spacecoastpodcast@hotmail.com. Space Coast Podcast. Talk hard!
Okay, we're back. This is Trisha Schmalhofer, BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, Mystics, here with Janet Carbin. And I'm going to be tempted to go like way over time, so I really got to watch it. Because Janet is so easy to talk to. And this is just fun. We're just like shooting the shit, like
it's
in
awesome.
the living room, you know? So anything else about Survivor 40 that we wanted to talk about? We were just kind of talking about the fire tokens, that this
Right.
is a whole new thing, currency.
The whole dynamics are going to change from this.
No one really knows in the game right now
What they mean.
except for Natalie. She's like the one that's really privy to really how powerful they are. But yeah, we're not really sure how that's going to come to play. And I was joking, the fire tokens of Survivor is like rolls of toilet paper in real life right now. They're very valuable. So yeah, so that's gonna
It's
add
really
to the mix.
going to add new dimensions to the game.
Yeah. Another thing to look for that I saw in an interview with Jeff Probst before the season is where the little voting room.
Yes.
They created it away from everything.
It is a way.
So they can't hear anything, but he said, and you never know, we might put stuff in here for castaways to see.
Oh, that's something new even to me.
I heard
Yeah.
him casually say that. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
They
So
might get fire tokens in there.
who knows? So I haven't noticed any castaways looking around, but you just
Because you
never know.
don't. When you go into the voting thing, it's very dark. You just have the scroll, and you're so emotional walking in there and writing somebody's
Oh
name
God,
down.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's just so it's so hard. All right, so let's talk about what you're doing now. So do you feel that being on Survivor has just lit a fire, literally? I have like Janet's little signed fire photo here with thanks for your support, Trish. It's on my refrigerator at home. But has it lit a fire for you to do more out in the world?
It's been a real surprise to me what I never thought about post-Survivor. Never thought what would happen. And I am very blessed to be able to work with some charities, and I've started a motivational speaking. Jamal and I are doing it together.
Oh, I didn't know you and Jamal.
Yeah.
Oh, how
Yeah.
cool.
And our website is mamaj.net, and it talks about what we're trying to do and listening to your truth, and it gives you information how to contact me. And our goal, I've done some things with some adults and some professional groups locally in the area, and our goal is to go into the schools, and we'd like to middle school and on up. And we have a 90-minute program where we would like to, it's an interactive program.
interactive is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because it's not just people sitting
Yeah.
there listening to you. And I love that you and Jamal, because we didn't talk about Jamal's game, but there was a couple tribals where he said some really profound things as well.
Right.
And yeah, and there was the thing with him and Jack that got worked out.
They were roommates after the show.
Yeah, they stayed. They had their little
Yeah.
romance after, but there was an issue there on the show that they worked through, and again, it was another lesson in real life. So, so say the website again if people want to book you.
It's mamaj.net, and there's all kinds of contact information on there.
Okay.
And we've been working with it a little bit so far.
So your preferred audience your target audience would be children, or it can be modified for adults?
Yes, I have 3 different options on the
good.
website.
Okay.
One is I have a booking set up for May 6th. That's all adults. It's a women's club up in New Jersey, and it's going to the funds are going to go to a charity up there, and it's more of a meet and greet kind of thing, which is an option.
Yeah.
The 90-minute interactive program, and then another hour where it's modified. The interactive program's modified for the adults, which I did with the Harris a group with a lot of Harris professionals.
Right,
just
they're
last
local
week.
here in
Yep.
Palm Bay,
Yep.
Harris Corp. Yeah,
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
So book her, because she's an awesome person. Like when you meet her in person, like she does have this fire that just comes out of her. I call it soul fire. Some of the charities that you're really doing a lot with.
Give Kids the World, which is located in Kissimmee, Florida. Hearts of Reality is near and dear to. I fell in love with them.
So Give Kids the World is associated with Disney?
Well, yes, they have partnerships with Disney, and
Okay.
it's like a Make-A-Wish.
Okay.
Where a family will come and stay there for a week, and they experience a year of celebrations in 1 week.
Oh.
And in August, we're doing a Reality Stars fundraiser out there for 3 days, August 8th, 9th, and 10th.
At the one in Kissimmee, Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
And we will stay there and try and bring awareness and raise funds for Give Kids the World. I'm doing some watch parties. I'm going to go out and vote and be a judge on one of their talent contests April 1st. April 8th, I'm doing a watch party. And people that want to come, I'll meet with them. We'll get pictures. We'll watch the season 40 together at the resort. And
I want to come.
All the money, it's $15 a ticket, and all the money goes.
Oh my gosh,
to,
I'm gonna buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll even do like one of my streams from there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Talk to Omar. He's the best.
We'll get after the yeah. Omar, I'm gonna be calling you. So that now you talked about Hearts of Reality.
Yes.
That's associated with Give Kids the World? Or no?
Not really.
It's a
Hearts of
different-
Reality is out in California with Michelle's Place, which is a cancer support center.
Okay.
I'll be going out there in May 14th, 15th, and 16th. And
2020.
yes, and there are reality stars from all over, and if you look that up, michellesplace.com, I think it is, there's donations you can put. There's going to be like 40 stars from different reality shows.
Okay, so Survivor, I think you said Naked and Afraid.
Naked and Afraid, Top Chef.
Okay.
Some wrestling stars. There's all kinds. And Jillian Larson was a survivor, and she kind of runs the whole thing or coordinates a lot of it.
Oh, nice.
And, you can pick a reality star and donate towards that star. And we're going to be playing The Amazing Race one day. We're doing a red carpet event one night. It's very filled, and all that money goes to Michelle's Place. They're trying to build an additional building for their families. Mm-hmm. And then locally here in Melbourne and Palm Bay is For the Girls. It's a breast cancer support group in this area, and they do a lot of trail running events where they are associated with trail running. Mm-hmm. And you can sign up and run, and that money goes towards the support group.
Yep, I have the date written down for the next trail. But look on Facebook. That's where I found.
I think it's this weekend because I was going to go, but
March 20th, I think.
I have to be. Yes, March 20th, which
2020.
I was going to be there with them, but I have to go to the Poconos for another Survivor fundraiser.
Right. What I love is that the Survivor contestants all are forming these networks. So
Yeah.
you said you had a Facebook page
Yeah.
just for Survivor
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
and like coming together to use the celebrity status and the attention you're getting for these causes.
And
yes.
I feel very blessed that I can do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm nobody special. And just to show up, if it's going to help these families and these organizations, then so be it. What am I losing? Time? I have fun. Mm-hmm. The 29th of April, we're going to Atlanta, Georgia. There's going to be about 40 to 45 survivors there. And Ron Clark just opened a school, the Ron Clark School Academy. And if you look that up online, it's a private academy for kids. So, it's going to be fun. We can tour the school. And, survivors really opened a lot of doors to do a lot of good.
Yeah, that's important. That's that soul. It's like you're not playing the game anymore, but it's like you're extending it out into the world. And, I'm just seeing if we have any more comments or questions. I'm not seeing any. Is there anything else? We have about a minute left. Is there anything else? Yeah.
Follow your dreams. Don't put limits on yourself. Anybody that puts limits on, I'm 60 years old. Every year I try and find something new. I've done this since I was 20. Find something new and follow it. Don't limit yourself.
No, don't. Always be expanding. I'm always seeking to learn and encouraging others, like knowing yourself and seeking knowledge.
And the only reason I get along with people of all ages is because I learn from them. I think people, just because somebody's 20 or 16 or whatever, they may have a better perspective than I do.
Or even like 5 years old.
Oh, my granddaughter Charlie teaches me new stuff all the time.
I worked with the pre-K class for a year in school, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm learning more from these little kids than I've learned from kiddos, than I've learned from adults.
Right. If you watch and are open to learning to how people relate, it's going to benefit me.
That's right. I feel the same way you do. We all are here to teach each other and guide us home, and help us share our light. To me, it's about light.
I think people are afraid when they get older that they have to know more. No, I'll be the dumbest person in the room.
Yep.
It's okay.
Yep.
It's okay. I always say you have to fail a bunch of times to succeed once.
Right.
You really do. You have to fail to grow.
Yep. And it's not a bad thing to say, I don't know the answer to that.
Oh,
and
it's okay.
And then that's actually a good place to be, because then you're open. You're an open cup, right?
What I said to the Harris group, and they were all adults, and I said, when somebody presents a whole presentation and they say, are there any questions? And everybody just sits there. And then the first person's brave enough to ask a question. And then a floodgate's open.
It's right.
And I said, be okay with not knowing.
That's right.
It's okay.
That's right. Yep. Yep. That's fabulous. So everybody, say your website one more time, Janet.
MamaJ.net.
And my website is medhealers.com. That's my business website. And the BAM email, if you have any suggestions, want to be a sponsor, or have ideas for guests, it's bamcommunity11@gmail.com. See you next time. Thanks,
Bye.
Janet.
No problem. Great being here.
It was awesome.